All right, welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to tackle a challenge that I bet a lot of you have faced. How do you actually get your voice heard in a workplace where, being quiet is seen as a sign of respect? It's a tough one. Let's dive right in. The source material for this explainer has this perfect phrase. It translates to speaking up without breaking the silence. And that just nails it, right? It's all about that delicate dance you have to do in some professional cultures. The point isn't to just shut up. It's about learning to speak with real intention. So that leads to this huge question for all of us, really. How do you share your best ideas when, talking too much or too loudly just makes you look arrogant? How can you actually add value without everyone thinking you're just looking for a fight? That is the exact problem we are going to unpack today. And this gets to the heart of a real cultural clash. In a lot of workplaces, especially the more traditional, hierarchical ones, silence isn't just empty space. It's actually a form of respect. It's meant to keep the group harmony. So when you jump in with a totally different opinion, it can feel like you're a wrecking ball, just smashing that delicate balance. But playing it too safe? Well, that has a huge cost, both for you and for the whole organization. And that brings us to our first big section, the price of silence. We're going to look at why staying quiet can cost way more than you think. Yeah, the price you pay for being overly cautious, it's not just about feeling ignored. Think about it. All those great innovative ideas, if they're not shared, they just disappear forever. And what about when you see a major flaw in a plan but don't say anything? Well, those critical errors can go completely uncorrected. And maybe the biggest cost of all, your own talent stays buried. That is a massive loss for you. And for your team. And look, this isn't just some abstract academic idea. The stakes can be incredibly high. Just look at what happened with Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. He gave this speech where he publicly, openly challenged China's financial system. Now, that's a culture where you just don't do that. You don't disagree with authorities so directly. The consequences for him were, well, they were severe. It's a huge, powerful reminder that reading the room wrong can have massive career-changing results. So what do you do? How do you navigate this minefield? Well, the answer isn't about shouting louder. It's about being smarter. And that brings us to 4 really powerful ways to reframe what you have to say. I love this metaphor from the source material. The goal is to sow your ideas, kind of plant them and let them grow, instead of just shouting them at people. Okay, so let's break down these 4 specific techniques. And these are really practical changes you can make in how you talk, designed to make sure your ideas aren't just heard, but are actually welcomed. All right, strategy number 1, ask, don't affirm. A blunt statement like, I don't agree with this strategy, that's basically a challenge, right? It just shuts the conversation down. But watch what happens when you rephrase it as a question. Could this strategy maybe generate some resistance in certain sectors? See? It completely changes the vibe. It invites people into a discussion and gets them thinking with you, not against you. Okay, strategy number 2 is a classic, but it's so important. Start with the positive. Instead of just diving in with criticism, you build a bridge. You acknowledge what's actually working first. Just by saying something like, this has some really strong points, you're showing you're on their side, you're not an enemy. That makes people way more open to hearing about that one detail we could explore a bit more. Next up, strategy 3, use indirect examples. Just saying this is not going to work. Where do you go from there? It's a total dead end. But what if you told a little story? Something like, in a similar situation I saw once, a more gradual path actually worked out pretty well. It's brilliant. You're giving feedback without making it personal. You're offering a solution inside a story. It's guiding, not accusing. And number 4, this one is absolutely crucial, especially in those hierarchical places. You have to cede symbolic authority. Saying, this is my recommendation can sound like you're stepping on toes. But if you frame it differently like, a possibility occurs to me, but of course, you're in a much better position to assess it. What you're doing is showing incredible respect for their rank. It's a super smart, strategic move that actually empowers them to pick up your idea and run with it. Okay, so we've talked about how to say things, but there's one more piece to this puzzle, and it's a big one. This brings us to our final and maybe most important strategy, the art of timing. Because as you'll see, when you speak is often just as important as what you say. Think about it. That big formal meeting, 10 people around a table, a PowerPoint on the screen, that is often the absolute worst place to bring up a problem. The stakes are super high, everyone's on display, and people get defensive. But a quiet, one-on-one chat over coffee, that's a completely different game. It's private, it's low stakes, it's where you can have a real conversation without all the public pressure. Honestly, that's where the real influence happens. And let's be really clear here. None of this is about giving up or just staying silent. Not at all. It's about being strategic. It's about having the wisdom and the patience to wait for the perfect moment, to find the right words, and to choose the right setting, so your idea actually has a chance to grow. So let's pull all these threads together. What's the one big takeaway here? It all comes down to the power of speaking with intention. So what is intentional speech? Well, it's the art of carefully choosing when you speak, how you say it, and the tone you use. It's about consciously designing your communication so that your ideas aren't just heard, they're actually welcomed and valued, especially in those cultures where loudness is not a virtue. And that brings us back to that powerful final metaphor from our source. In these kinds of environments, ideas aren't shouted from the rooftops. They're sown like seeds. Your job isn't to win the debate in the moment. It's to find the right soil, plant the idea, and then nurture it so it can grow on its own. So I want to leave you with a final question to think about. When was the last time you felt you had to measure your words really carefully, just to protect some kind of invisible equilibrium in the room? And thinking about that, how could these strategies help you sow your next great idea?